helping her and making her feel comfortable. She thinks she wants to go to college when she grows up, so let's get started. Before we get started, I want to remind you of a couple things. There are a couple public meetings that are coming up that are within the college. Again, those aren't exhaustive. They're just things that I see. They're scrolling on our college banner or the university banner that's on the front web pages. Tomorrow, I believe, is the refugee as your neighbor public meeting. And that happens in the atrium right outside of this room from 4 to 6. There is no registration required. It's just come one, come all. So if you haven't done your public meeting yet and you have some time available tomorrow evening from 4 to 6, there is going to be a forum and you can get your public meeting taken care of. I posted a couple other ones. Yes, Richard.
Is there a minimum required period for attendance for these things to pass?
Yes, the whole thing.
Okay.
If it was a forum, that's like maybe an hour and 15 minutes, and then there's lots of chit-chat and stuff afterwards. City council meetings, it depends on if there's anything exciting going on in your city as to how long it is. But if you find a good notice of something exciting happening in your city, that may be the most exciting public meeting, so like a city council meeting or a zoning meeting or planning hearing, something like that. And they range from like an hour to hour and a half, it all depends. I think hour and a half is kind of a good rule of thumb. Like that gets all the information that you would need to complete that assignment sheet. What else? There is the Levin Serves event that's on Friday. It is from 12 to 2, and that is the first annual Levin College service event. It's at the food bank from 12 to 2. And you're like, well, I can't go to that because it overlaps with this class. Well, lucky for you, I really like community service. So if you decide that community service is something that you want to do on Friday, instead of coming here, I will give you an excused absence if you provide me with proof that you attended. So I can't help you with the other classes, what you had after this class, but at least I can help you with mine. So free bonus, I don't know how many times it comes around, so if you want to do that, and it's always good to have on your resume. Community service is really good to have on your resume. That shows that you are doing something that is of interest to you, that you are not paid for because you enjoy or want to do it. I won't put enjoy in your mouth because maybe you don't like doing community service, and if that's the case, then just know that employers love to see community service on your resumes. Very good. I think that is everything for right now. So the community service event, a couple of public forums coming up. Check the announcements page for any further information. Fortunately, today we are going to hear about the Cuyahoga County Land Bank from the previous. Are you still in that position? Current.
Soon to be previous.
Very good. Lila Zotner from the Cuyahoga County Land Bank. She is the manager of special projects and land reuse. And you have brought with you
Jason Knauer, who is currently the program associate for land reuse and will hopefully become the manager of land reuse.
Very good. So you have two new faces here today. And I am going to turn it over to you. I'll turn it on.
Here, I'll let you Hi, everybody. I should say good morning, good afternoon. My name is Lila Zotner. I am currently the manager of special projects and land reuse for the Cuyahoga Land Bank. So thank you for having me to your class. I've done this or a similar talk with Professor Nagy a couple times now, and I always really enjoy it. And I always get really nervous, and I always talk really fast, and I always take too long. So that's probably going to be what happens today as well. So what time do we have, Phil?
Usually I let you know when it's 12 o'clock, and then we have about 10 extra minutes after that.
Okay, great. So again, thank you for having me. Before we start talking, I just wanted to ask a couple questions about the class, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about myself. Actually, I'll talk about myself first. So, again, Lila Zotner, I am an alum of SUNY State. I graduated sometime around 2001 or 2002 with my undergraduate in environmental studies. After that, and we'll talk a little bit about my past. I also have a master's degree in geography from Arizona State University. And I'm, like I said, currently working at the land bank. We keep saying currently because tomorrow is actually my last day at the Cuyahoga Land Bank. I'm going to be leaving to take a position at the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District. Can you raise your hand if you've heard of the sewer district? Okay. All right, it's the most powerful, richest, and most important organization that most people have never heard of in our region. So I'll talk a little bit about that, but not much because I don't have the job yet, so I don't want to, don't want to overspeak. So I am an alum. I love coming back to Cleveland State. I think that this is one of the best schools in the country, if not or in the region, if not the country, for urban studies and for environmental studies. Like I said, I did go to Arizona State for my master's degree. I'm glad that I did that for some personal reasons, but I have to tell you, if I had to do it over again, I would have stayed right here at Cleveland State and gotten my master's degree. It would have been a lot more useful and a whole hell of a lot cheaper. So that's my word of advice for you. Yes?
What did you say your master's was in?
Geography. So that's just a little bit about me. So just so I understand you guys, I'm not going to go around, but we're just going to raise hands. So this is the urban studies class. Can you raise your hand if your major is in this building? Okay. Can you raise your hand if your major is environmental? Nice. Okay, great. Can you raise your hand if you are a freshman or a sophomore? And then juniors and seniors or beyonds? Okay. And then any graduate students? No graduate students. Okay. Aspiring graduate. Like I said, I always tell people that I really, really believe that people should work before they take on a master's degree. If you have the option to get a job after you get your bachelor's, no matter what that job is, I recommend you work a job before you decide to invest your time and money into a master's degree, just so that you can go in with more knowledge and more real-world understanding of the way things work before you jump right into graduate school. But if you are going to go to graduate school, I'd say if your heart and soul is in Cleveland, stay here and go here. It'll be a great education for a whole lot less. So special projects. Like I said, I'm going to talk about, raise your hand if you've ever heard of the Cuyahoga Land Bank. Uh-oh. Okay. So we're going to have to start with square one a little bit, but I'm not going to dwell on it too much. Again, my purpose of coming here is I'm not a narcissist. That's not why I'm talking about me. But I feel like it's valuable as you guys are in your college experience to understand what people from Cleveland do in terms of their education and where it can go career-wise and where it can't go career-wise. So actually, one more question. Raise your hand if you were raised in Cuyahoga County. Raise your hand if you were raised in the city of Cleveland. Nice, okay. Raise your hand if you currently live in Cuyahoga County. Raise your hand if you currently live in the city of Cleveland. Great, that's like a higher percentage than I've seen in the past, so that's very encouraging. So this is just to say my personal journey. I was born and raised on a farm far from Cleveland. During that time of growing up, I was raised by some kind of hippie parents, that really celebrated nature, really celebrated the environmental movement for various reasons. Unfortunately, with that came a raising, not intentional, but where I came to believe that the city was a bad place. The city was the place where environmental issues were taking place. This crazy map is kind of my second space as a young adult. I started college. It took me 7 years to graduate from undergrad. I went to 3 or 4 different colleges. Needless to say, I had wanderlust and I needed to go. When I was young, I drove all over the country, spent a couple years in vans, living in different places, experiencing different people, and through that really realized that in the United States, a lot of things are similar. It's pretty much just the weather that changes a little bit. Ended up back here at Cleveland State for my last 2 years of undergrad, which was the best decision I ever could have made. I was very happy here and I hit the ground running. Graduated, From there, I took my first job at an organization called Parkworks, which is now called Land Studio. Sorry, I blanked for a minute. I started off as an intern. At some point in your career, or in your college career, you might be asked to do or you might be required to do an internship. I have to say that I recommend that you put a lot of thought into that, and that you prepare yourself, unfortunately, that you prepare yourself to work for free if you are able. I worked 2 jobs at night while I did my internship during the day. A lot of people try to slide away from that internship, saying that they can't afford to, that life circumstances don't allow them to work for free. I get it, but if you are able to, do it. Because for me and most people, that ended with a job. Folks that didn't get internships, that found their way around the internship requirement, most of the ones that I came in the field. Through there, I moved to the city of Cleveland. My love for the city began to grow. I went to graduate school. I came back from graduate school as soon as possible. I hadn't even graduated yet, and I took a job at the Cleveland Eco Village. Raise your hand if you've ever heard of the Cleveland Eco Village. So the Cleveland Eco Village is actually a neighborhood. It's a sub-neighborhood. Raise your hand if you've heard of Detroit Shoreway. Okay, so some people. It's a sub-neighborhood within the Detroit Shoreway neighborhood that kind of goes around the West 61st Street Rapid Station. At one time in the early 2000s, for the environmentalists in the room, at the early 2000s, the Cleveland Eco Village was kind of the biggest, baddest environmental thing happening in Cleveland. It was the proving ground for all green building projects, all transit